Holy moly, donut shop. Great googly moogly. Mamdani and Trump. Everybody thinking this is going to be a UFC fight. Boom, boom. Fights against each other. It was going to be psychotic. Blood was going to be splattering. Mamdani was going to get in there and say something in Southern Asian or maybe something in Arabic. And Trump was going to say, what? And he's going to smack Trump and smack his eyeball out. And Trump is going to be trying to grab his eyeball, much like Velma and Scooby Doo. Oh my goodness. Oh, I finally found my eye. And as soon as he put his eye back in his socket, the press was going to say, yeah, destroy Trump. It was going to be amazing. That's what everybody thought was going to happen. And I've been seeing people be violently angry that Mamdani voted to Trump. Or I've been seeing people say that Mamdani schooled Trump, and both sides look really good in this encounter because they had a meeting, they talked to each other, they had a conversation, they were civil, and people are either of two camps. This was the greatest meeting of all time, with Mamdani actively saying Trump is a fascist right to his face, because that's exactly what happened, and Trump saying this is a very reasonable fellow. Or the other camp saying, oh my goodness, Mamdani was supposed to go in there with a double barrel shotgun, shoot him in the legs. Trump was supposed to fall over to the ground, hurtling, grabbing his little tender body, and then crying and wailing and praying that New York doesn't become modern day Saudi Arabia. This is what I wanted. And then there's people saying Trump should have scored him. Trump should have put tariffs on New York. You can't, that's not even humanly possible. You can't. Tariffs on New York? Some people said they wanted tariffs on New York. That's the most impressive thing I've ever heard in my entire life. I do not know why people were throwing this big tantrum over what they thought was going to be a digital age Roman Colosseum, a thunderdome of ideology where two gladiators would battle to the death with rhetorical spears, armed with their policy's best initiatives. This was supposed to be insane. I wanted it to be a Marvel movie. It was supposed to be Avengers Endgame. The reporters were going to be in on it. Everybody was going to be fighting. This was going to be One Piece levels of drama, world building, and narrative collapse. No. I was not surprised by the meeting because I will never forget what politicians are, ever. Because it's wild how we all collectively forgot the fundamental nature of this profession. Politicians are first and foremost coworkers. They are ideological enemies. That's it. That's pretty much it. The internet was vibrating with some partisan rage. This is gonna be great. They were braced for carnage, for claws, for screaming, bloodshed, the clashing of swords, of pure principle. Instead, they were treated to the political equivalents of two corporate vice presidents from rival firms politely exchanging air in a room for a photo op. That's what you got. That's it. I think this illusion shattered for a moment, revealing the core truth. You are emotionally invested in this feud, right? They are professionally invested. Big difference. This is why I don't argue on Twitter. This is why I barely argue in the comments with people saying, oh, well, actually, you didn't use the correct thing here, so that makes you transphobic. Oh, this makes you a woke lefty liberal. This makes you anti-black. That's why I don't argue with people. I never argue with people. It takes too much time out of my day. I might call out a specific thing I'm having a bad day and make a community post about it and say, guys, tear them apart. And then everybody goes and tears that person apart. It makes me feel good because, I enjoy using my horde against people. But that's about it. That's pretty much how I operate as a human being. But I gotta point this out. Your hatred for the guy with the anime profile pic who disagrees with you is more visceral, more personal than their animosity will ever be. They don't feel that way at all. People had built up this beautiful cinematic fantasy. They imagined Mamdani striding into a room as if he was some revolutionary prophet, fists clenched with the fire of moral righteousness blazing in his phallic member and his palms, just big-dickied, a tremendous penis. Everybody was excited, ready to obliterate Trump with a single perfectly crafted zinger that would echo through history, and everybody would say, go Mamdani, you're amazing, your wife is very beautiful, by the way, I wish she was my wife, oh my goodness, this is outstanding, as a matter of fact, I wish you were my husband, I wish I was your third, ah my goodness, I gotta turn everything provocative because this is how we operate on this side. And people thought that Trump was gonna counter the punch, grab the fist, and everybody say, oh my god, Trump, your hands are so big, your body fat is so amazing, and push Mamdani to the side, and then pull out a Desert Eagle, the bacon of pistols, and then boom, 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 shoot his shoulder off. I'm so sorry. Did you think that politicians were ever going to risk their political capital, their future leverage, their carefully constructed careers to create a fan service moment for their base. Donald Trump might, but Mamdani, no. They're not trying to trend on social media. They are bureaucrats. They breathe the same stale, recycled air inside the DC bubble. They trade political favors. They lobby. That's what it is. Do you know what lobbying is? I probably don't know what lobbying is. Nobody ever, you know, it's crazy. I don't want to insult your intelligence, but no one ever explained what lobbying was to me, so I had to look it up 3 years ago. Lobbying is very simple. It's when, let's say, a corporation, McDonald's, for instance, wants to get a certain political person in power, so they give money and donations if the political person promises to do things that benefit McDonald's. That's literally all it is. Didn't know what that meant for a long time. You're probably thinking, well, you're a pretty intelligent guy. Wrong. I'm stupid. I'm very stupid. Didn't even know that was a thing. Not gonna lie to you. Certain definitions I don't know. That's just life. And here goes the reaction when nothing happened. Zorro from One Piece, when nothing happened, the internet just collectively, oh my God, nothing happened. Why didn't he destroy him? This is not how the machinery of power operates. High-level meetings are not gladiator joust stage for your entertainment. Even your favorite leftist firebrand, your most beloved progressive fighter, still has to operate with the crushing gravity of political reality. Not the fantasy wrestling storyline you've written for them in the comment section. That's not how it operates. Same reason why Hassan Piker was very upset by the passing of Charlie Kirk. Same exact reason. Because they both shared that same profession. They're both orators of the political discourse. That's what they are. These people are friends. I know you don't want to hear this. I know you don't want to believe this. But these people are friends. Or at the very least, they are profoundly transactionally friendly. They share jokes in the marbled hallways. They exchange contacts and intelligence. There is a non-zero chance they have laughed behind closed doors. But guess what? They laughed in person. They have probably laughed at you. Specifically you. Yes, you. Collectively. See, the passion intensity with which you, the public, hate each other on their behalf is crazy. Because they've laughed at it. They do not bleed for your cause. They calmly, coolly barter with your emotions as if they're bargaining chips in a high-stakes poker game. That's what they do. That's it. That's what they're doing all the time. It's hilarious. And I've discovered this, and I've been in politics learning about it very recently, mostly because of Trump, because he scares the hell out of me. I believe the perfect government is when you don't notice. And the public's reaction to Trump's name has become a form of secular demonology. We act as if uttering it 3 times will summon a spectral apparition. Trump, 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 Beetlejuice, 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 oh my goodness. But meeting with him isn't this witch's ritual or a spell-biting curse. It's mundane, workmanlike. Because you know what's crazy? You know what's crazy? They're talking about agendas, assessing optics, measuring measuring leverage. I don't know why I said leptics. That's not even a word. Positioning for the next election cycle. It's an unglamorous, distilled job. That's what it is. Politics is supposed to be boring. Trump turned it into a spectacle, but when you really get into the nitty-gritty of it, it's boring. It's very, very, very boring. Because this is going to hurt to hear deeply. And I learned this from my father. My father is a very toxic, abusive, manipulative, and disgusting man. He has abused my mother. He's abused me and my family. Probably wondering why I'm getting so personal. Well, if I were going to a club or a bar, I would invite my father immediately because he is fun to hang around. Weird, isn't it? Strange. I just said all these bad things about my dad, but sure, he's very fun to be around. Probably the most fun person I've ever been around in my entire life. As a matter of fact, he's more fun than most people I've ever met in my entire life. He is just a fun guy. Because he's charismatic, despite all the bad things. And despite you hating Trump, and I do not like Trump that much, I cannot deny his charisma, his air for the opulence. It's what he is. He's very charismatic. We forget also that these people, for politics, it's rarely personal. Not even a little bit. It is performance. It is a strategy. It is survival. They do not storm into each other's office ready to throw a punch. They negotiate. They offer calculated compliments. They practice the art of pacification. They leave the room with the same number of limbs they entered with. It is boring, clinical, deeply transactional. But there is the public. And I don't blame you. I really don't. I don't want to insult you, because usually I would, but this is very different. You have been fed a diet of dramatic television and social media hysterics. That word, social. I have retainers in. God, my tongue is pressed to the bottom of my mouth and it feels strange. Anyways, they want every meeting to feel like the climax of a historical epic. I want to go through history. They want the yelling, the finger pointing, the standing up to fascism, live streamed at 4K with a dramatic orchestra score swelling in the background. They want that. And when they are presented with the reality, a handshake and a press release, they feel this visceral sense of betrayal. They just feel it. The personal fantasy was denied its satisfying conclusion. Sad, isn't it? Sad, isn't it? Also, you gotta understand that politicians don't represent us. They represent interest. They represent power structure. They represent donors. They represent their own political survival. They may, on occasion and when convenient, represent their principles, but the idea that any of these people are going to wage your holy war on your behalf is insane. They are not crusaders. They're just negotiators. That's it. I don't like the crazy immediate turn, like the fickleness of this. Overnight, Mamdani was transformed in certain circles from a hero into a traitor and from a traitor into a hero. It's just because he just was talking to a guy. Crazy to me. Insane. It's absolutely insane. I love how people will go on their moral high horses and say, oh, it says more about his character than this. It says more about his character if he talks to somebody that he doesn't agree with. No, it says more about you that you don't talk to people, realistically. I don't know why you thought it didn't. It says a lot about you, actually. It does, that you refuse to engage in conversation with people if that's your job. You don't have to do this on a day-to-day basis. You don't have to engage with bigots at all in any capacity. But, yeah, it reminds me of this fun little thing here. This is an aside, so you don't got to pay attention to this in any capacity. Someone said, do you misgender somebody when you disagree with them? I said, yeah. And they said, so you'd misgender a woman? And I said, well, yeah, most people do. And they said, no, you don't. I said, yeah, people do. That's a very common thing. When you want to insult a woman, you call her manly. Or you say, oh, you look like a man. Or when you want to insult a guy, you say pussy. Or the female word for dog. That's basically what you do. That's exactly what you do. You do misgender somebody when you want to insult them. You call them the opposite of the gender they are. You do use gender non-affirming terms to do so. That's a basic principle of insulting somebody, is doing that. It is rooted in disrespect. That's how it works. That's how most people insult people. I don't know why that's a insane thing. That's how people insult people. I don't grasp that. Seems to be a strange thing. It doesn't say anything about the character of a person. That's just a childish insult. It's a very childish insult to do so. It is childish, but people do it. It's not a new phenomenon. It's deeply not a new phenomenon. It's a very old phenomenon that's been going on for quite some time. To act as if it's this new thing is crazy. But that's just an aside. Here goes the thing. They don't like you. You can't. They don't like you, right? Politicians regularly meet with their enemies. Trump will meet with Putin, even if you think Putin is controlling Trump. Obama would meet with Putin. The world leaders will meet with each other. That's what happens. They meet with their oppressors, their rivals, because the actual work of governance requires contact. It requires dialogue. You can't negotiate a world you refuse to touch. I think social media has trained an entire generation to believe that communication itself is a form of endorsement, that proximity is contamination, and that civility is ideological surrender. That's not real. That's not real at all. That's not real. Just gonna end on this. These people in suits, they're not your warriors. They're not your avatars in the game of power. They are not the physical manifestation. I'm messing up a lot of words today. Manifestation of your moral compass. They are operators within a vast, complex system built on twin pillars of compromise and self-preservation. I think the sooner we stop demanding they act as if they're either saints or assassins, the sooner we might understand that politics is just a business meeting. That's really it. That's it. It's crazy because the most shocking thing that two politicians can do is sit in a room together and act like adults instead of turning into this feverish projections of evil. Strange. Anyways, thank you guys so much for checking out my video. Oh my god, my head hurts so bad. If you guys want to help me out, I have a GoFundMe for my nerve damage. Thank you guys so much. If not, doesn't really matter to me. Have a good day or night wherever you're at. I'm out. Peace. Bye.
I'm your nigga night, be my loyalties low. Ooh, happy to try what you need. Your world, I love to live in it. Ooh, I love the ride when you're free.